You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
This podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, telling Oklahoma stories through its people since 1927. Follow them online at oklahomahof.com and definitely on Instagram at oklahomahof. Let's get into today's episode. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, your host, back with another episode up at Southern Hills today, home of, I guess now 5 PGA Championships and a bunch of other awesome trophies. Had a nice little tour from my guest today. I really appreciate that. But Reagan Kingsley's on the podcast. I did say that right, didn't I?
You did, yes.
Okay, because I butchered people's names in the past. But yeah, man, thanks so much for having me. Excited to share about, just the experience that you've had for the week for the PGA Championship, but then, everything before that and after, and obviously talk a little bit about yourself as well, not just all about Tiger Woods and some of the pros that were recently in town and the Goodyear blimp that was over us for a week, which is still mad to think about a blimp being here. But before we talk about all that stuff, tell me a little bit about you. Like, where'd you grow up? How'd you get into golf? And, and then we'll kind of navigate, ended up, I know you've been here 2 years, but let's set some context first.
Definitely. So, yeah, catch me if I'm jumping around too much. But grew up here in Tulsa, went to ORU for my undergraduate degree in marketing, and then grew up at Lincoln Christian School for all of my elementary and high school education. So decided to make the move over to ORU, got my degree in marketing, worked for a local car shop for 2 years, and then found the job on Indeed here at Southern Hills. And I was thankful and blessed and fortunate enough to know a member and ran it by him, got a recommendation letter. He told me what the job entailed, and then next thing I knew, I became the marketing and communications director here at Southern Hills.
Well, I'm in marketing. I did a marketing degree as well, and I can't think of anything better than being here, being from Tulsa, growing up here. I have a couple of friends actually. A friend of mine, which you'll meet tonight, he is assistant at OIU, and he went, I think, to Lincoln. He grew up in Broken Arrow. Okay. So we'll meet him tonight.
Definitely.
His name's Tim Broughton.
Yeah.
So
I know Tim well.
Yeah, Tim's coming to the event tonight.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's really cool that just this job showed up, and you're like, you know what? Why not?
Right.
Could be worse.
Right. What's the worst they're going to say? No. And I go back to the job that I was happy with. And my boss, when I told him I was leaving, he was sad. He was sad to see me go, but he's like, I can't tell you not to. It's Southern Hills Country Club. Yeah. I'd stepped foot on this property one time before working here, and it was for a birthday dinner. And there's just something about Southern Hills every time you pull in the gates. I've been here 2.5 years now, and it's still the same feeling when security gives you the wave and says hello when you pull in. Right. Coming up the magnificent drive. So
that's the driveway's a lot longer than I expected. Right? Because some golf clubs you pull in and it's 100 yards maybe, or 250 max. Right. But then you pull in here and you're like, it's probably a mile long.
Yeah, it's great because the trees are old. You get to see the golf course. You see the driving range, the clock tower when you make the bend. It's an experience just coming up the drive.
The most photographed clock tower now in golf, isn't it? After the
that's a fact. Happy to wear it.
Happy to wear it. It's a great logo too. So before you get here, then was golfing your life before that? Or was it always kind of just marketing and we'll see how life goes? And what was the general idea when you were in school and graduating?
Right. So golf was never the focus for me, but it always been part of my life. My oldest brother was interested in golf. Me and the brother I'm closest to in age, we were both football and baseball, but our oldest brother wanted to try out this thing called the First Tee of Tulsa in 2002. So me and my other brother decided we'd sign up with him. So our parents signed us up for the First Tee in 2002 and 2003. So I first learned how to play golf there, and then didn't really play a whole lot. Played a little in high school, just going out with my friends. When I went to ORU, I ended up living on the golf floor. Just happenstance, purely coincidence, and it turned out worked out great in my favor. Great. Yeah.
And their golf facility is amazing.
Yes. So learned the game with them, played a lot in college, just joking around with the golf guys. They became my friends. It was more so golf was never the focus though. Yeah. It was just there. And
Yeah.
help me learn the game.
So when the job comes up here, then you obviously growing up here, you know what Southern Hills, and you know it's hosted events, and you know
exactly.
like the gravity of the golf club and the size of the club.
Correct.
So that was a draw, obviously.
For sure.
But it's funny that like you come here without like, you know, like some golf fans would have been like, yes, like no brainer, I'm going there. But it's great that, you know, I love the fact that you came here from not a golf perspective, but you still understand the gravity of how big and the representation this club has in Tulsa.
Definitely. And I think that's why I've been a great fit for the position, because I've played less golf working at Southern Hills in the last 2.5 years than I played the 6 years prior. Yeah. I mean, I played a lot more in college in the 2 years I was in the car business, because when you're in the car business, you're sponsoring every golf charity tournament.
Every Monday is
a golf charity tournament. So now that I'm here, we didn't get a whole lot of employee golf, obviously leading up to the PGA Championship. They allow all employees to play most Mondays on a normal year when the weather is good, and Russ and his crew aren't out fixing and repairing things. But yeah, golf. It's not the focus.
Yeah.
The marketing was definitely the focus, and I think that's why I've been a good fit for the job, because I know golf. I have a huge passion for the game, watching the game, but like marketing is my focus.
Yeah, and when you're going into selling, marketing a club like this, the scale of this, you know, like you said, you understand golf, which gives you all of the best kind of, you know, the best thing in your arsenal, I guess, rather than somebody who knows everything about golf, but nothing of how to communicate it to the masses and the people who don't play golf as well. So that's a great fit. So 2 years, obviously you knew that when you got the job, you knew that PGA was coming here.
Correct. I knew it was coming in 2030. Yeah. So when I applied, we knew that 2021 was on the horizon. And I was like, great, that's going to be a great warm up for 2030. I hope I can stay in the position long enough to experience a major championship here in Tulsa. But God had bigger plans, and you know, everything went down, and January 6th, I mean, that's how we got the tournament here. Pretty much the next day, my GM was on the phone with the PGA, with our corporate sponsors, getting commitments just in case the PGA decided to move the championship. And then,
which is nuts. Like how fast that happens. But
three days later, they pulled the championship from Bedminster, and then they were searching, but we had already told them what our verbal commitment was for corporate hospitality, and it just made sense. We had the staff here in town. We already had 6 full-time staff members, which I was just talking to 3 of them before I came over here. They've been a part of the Southern Hills team longer than I have, and they're leaving town in the next couple weeks to go to their next assignments. So it's a little weird. I mean, it worked out perfect. It was the perfect storm.
Yeah, like it's, you know, you have the infrastructure, right? You have, you know, you've hosted tournaments in the past, or the club has hosted tournaments in the past. You know, it's kind of plug and play, isn't it? It's like we have everything, we just need to turn the switch on. Right.
And being Southern Hills, a lot of our staff were here in 94 and 95 when we hosted the Tour Championship. They're here in 2001, 2007 for the U.S. Open, the PGA Championship. So they know what it's like to host major championships. And then obviously Russ Myers and his team, I mean, he's the best in the business when it comes to superintendents. Yeah. So we were ready, and it showed on television as well.
Oh, for sure. Like it was so much fun to watch, and so much fun to kind of see, you know, just people navigating the golf course. And I mean, we had all weathers that week, which couldn't have been better for golf fans. It probably sucked as a player, right? Like it's freezing cold one day, it's hot the next day, and then the winds, you know, there was a couple of different, what was it, early Thursday, late Friday, right? It was like the best draw, I think. Something like that. But tell me about kind of, once you get that, hey, heads up, we're getting it, the process starts then.
Yes.
You know, as someone who's in your position with marketing, like, you must be working, you know, till your head falls off with meetings and
pretty much.
Yeah, like you've been hands full since that day.
I always tell everyone January 26th, that was the day the PGA announced that they were moving it to Southern Hills, was honestly the perfect day of my adult working career. Yeah. Because I started the day, I had no idea. Well, I had an idea, but it hadn't been confirmed. I started the day in a duck blind. I went hunting that morning, and
brilliant.
sitting with a couple of my buddies from work. We're on this guided hunt. I get a phone call from my boss. Mm-hmm. It's like 9:30, 9:45 in the morning. He knew I was going hunting.
Yeah.
He's like, I look down, see Nick Sidorkis light up on my phone. I was like, well, I have to answer this. Thankfully, we didn't have any birds overhead. I was like, hey, Nick, what's up? He's like, hey, I know you're hunting. You need to come to the office. And
you need to pack up your stuff.
And I was like, all right, I'll be there in an hour. And I knew he didn't have to tell me what it was. I knew exactly what the call was about. I could hear the excitement in his voice.
Yeah.
So I packed up my gun right then. I had to walk like over a quarter mile back to the truck. My buddies got a good picture of me walking away. Yeah. They knew where I was going to.
This is the day we lost him to the golf course. Yeah.
So I walk into the office an hour later, still in my camo, and go straight to Nick's office. He's like, close the door. He's like, if you tell anyone this before 3:30 when an announcement's made, you're fired. It's like, we got the PGA Championship. So I'm like, still camo on my face, got my duck hat on. He's like, we need to get a press release ready, and we need drone footage, all the pictures you've taken, all of our archives. We need to get this to the media for this announcement. So I got to the office around 10:30, 10:45, and then it was about 3 o'clock when I had everything lined up. I had all the emails ready to send as soon as the PGA made the announcement to all the local news networks, ESPN, Golf Digest, Tulsa World. I mean, Nick had the full list, and we had it ready to send. And as soon as we saw the first, I'm watching Twitter like everyone else. I'm just refreshing because that's where the PGA was going to post it.
Yeah.
And as soon as we saw the tweet, I started hitting send, and the phone calls started coming because I was sitting in Nick's desk and he was on the couch in his office.
Yeah.
He was answering the phone. I was replying to his emails. And I don't think we left until about 6:30 that night. Just answering phone calls, scheduling interviews. It was the full shebang.
Because the buzz is there. Then,
right.
Isn't there? People know, and it's definite, and they want an answer, they want a release, they want something to give their followers, listeners, whatever it is, right? They need something.
Yeah. So. We were fortunate. We had Andy Johnson. He has a podcast as well.
Fried Egg. Right?
Yeah. He had come out and done pictures of the restoration.
Yeah. I think
2019.
His YouTube video of the golf course was amazing, right?
Yes. And the PGA actually used that during the championship. So it worked out great.
Yeah.
And it was so cool getting to talk to all the media, not just local, but national.
Right.
Messaging Bob Herrig on Twitter. I mean, all the golf guys that every golf Twitter follower
That's so good. Good and bad, I guess.
Exactly.
Right. Like, I'm sure the
Club Pro guy didn't slide in the DMs of Southern Hills.
Would love that. Yeah. Can you imagine that? For people listening who don't understand golf, you probably wouldn't get that one. But I mean, just think of someone who's just, I don't know, he's a comedian. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so cool to be on that side of it, because a lot of guys, would be on the pro shop side, right, or the assistant side, or a lot of golfers would think that it would be the side. But it's just fun to kind of, I can't wait to break down like how it goes from there. And we're in the back window we're looking out of now, there's still people are breaking stuff down. Like, you're still it's still here and it's still present, right? And and it will be probably for a few more months. But when does it start to, like, people start showing up on site and practice rounds and vendors and what was that like? So
the good thing is we had the senior PGA as a warm-up event. Obviously not nearly the scale.
Right.
I think the busiest day during the senior was 10,000 spectators, and we averaged 45,000 spectators a day during the PGA Championship this year. So completely different scale. But the fun really started in February of 22. It was sleeting the day that all of the arena staff showed up. They started building the Club 1916 tent, which was the second largest tent on property aside from the merchandise shop. They were out there. There was about 25 of them laying footings in sleet. And it was 20 degrees in Oklahoma.
Miserable.
Just miserable.
Yeah.
I've drone shot. I can send you of that. And they're just out there working away. And it did not stop. And we went from about 25 guys in middle of February to by middle of March, we had 150, 200 contract labor guys building. I think Brian said in an interview we had over 55 structures that were
Yeah.
temporarily put up for the championship. So it was about a 3-month process to set it up.
Yeah.
And then the PGA will be off-site with all the structures by July 31st. And they're on schedule right now for that deadline. So 3 months to set up, 2 months to tear down.
Well, and people don't think of like, I mean, just the fencing that's out there, right? And the siding and the heating and air and the portaloos and all of the stuff that like you don't think of. There's hundreds and maybe thousands of those items around on the property, isn't it? And they've all got to come in and out of a gate somewhere.
The PGA had over 20 miles of fencing that was put up.
Wow.
And they have interns, which one of my cousins signed up to be a PGA intern. They're called swampers. It's always been the term for them.
Nice.
But they put windscreening on all 20 miles of fencing, just windscreen and zip ties. They used over 60,000 zip ties. Walking the property.
Yeah.
I mean, it's those little things like that you don't even think about, but it makes the experience so much better for the people attending and the players. I mean, the players coming up the drive and seeing that fencing on either side with the big oak trees. I mean, it's part of the experience.
Yeah, it is. And when we came in, I came up Friday and we had to wait because Cam Smith was driving past us. And I was kind of shocked to see him driving, actually. I thought his caddy might have driven in, but he was just driving in this Cadillac or whatever and just coming past. I was like, oh, that's a mullet. That's Cam Smith.
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny.
That was the weirdest thing for me, too. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the game of golf.
Yeah.
I follow the tour. I guess it's 2 words now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, exactly.
I follow that pretty religiously,
Yeah.
but getting to meet a bunch of the players as they came in before the championship for practice rounds and even during the championship, they're just like us, but they're just really good at what they do and they get to play it professionally. And they make a lot of money doing it.
What was like, I guess when people show up like that, even before, for their practice round, before championship week, what is kind of like your role when they show up? Are you involved? Like, what is that like?
So the PGA and Kerry Cosby are head golf professional. They handle all of that. So the PGA will get in contact with the agent of whoever's wanting to play. The PGA will schedule that with Kerry. So I didn't have much involvement, but as far as the club goes, we want to archive, we want to document, and our members love seeing that stuff. As the marketing and communications director of the club, being a private club, we don't advertise to the general public.
Right.
So if you
Instagram account's private.
Right. Instagram's private, Twitter's private. We have a Facebook page, but
member only.
It's a member only. All of that is because of our tax status. So I don't get to post that stuff for the general public, but the members loved seeing it.
Yeah.
So who was the first? Patrick Reed was the first guy to come in. He spent 2 days. I mean, he had one of our top caddies and his own caddy. They read greens for 2 days straight. I mean, it was a job.
That's so cool.
He showed up at 7:00 and he was on the back 9 for a full 8-hour day reading greens. He would let members play through, take some selfies with them, talk to them.
Yeah.
But it was a job. And then next day they came out and did the front 9. But I got to go out there. I mean, I get to meet all these guys. I don't get to take pictures with them. I mean, the kid inside me wants to be like, can I get a picture with you? But you got to.
But the professionalism of your job says you need to, suppress the kid inside you.
Exactly.
Sadly, right?
Yeah. But just getting to meet them and welcome them to Southern Hills.
Right.
Show what the Oklahoma hospitality and just be that to these guys. It was really cool. So I got to take pictures of all of them. The pictures I got most, I'll send it to you so you can thumbnail them through, was on number 4 green. The clock tower's in the background. And I took a picture of every player that came through early on 4 green of them putting, and we did a little Instagram reel for the members after the fact. It was really cool.
Yeah.
So
that's to the photography point of things, like, did you pick up photography just because you knew this was coming here, or was photography always something that you kind of dabbled in?
So my former job in the automotive industry, I ran a social media page and took pictures of lifted trucks and Jeeps. Got to go to SEMA, the huge car show that happens every year in Las Vegas.
Dude, I love cars.
Yeah.
We could talk about cars for an hour after this as well. That's really cool.
Yeah, so got to experience that, do social media for some of the big brands in the automotive.
Who was the brands that you did?
Integrity Customs is the local shop that I worked for.
Yeah.
But all the off-road brands, got to take pictures for them, be featured on all their pages.
That's sick.
Yeah, it was fun. But that's really when I first started using a camera. I mean, we all got an Instagram in 2010, 2011, but posted there, but I didn't do anything professionally until I graduated college.
Gotcha.
And then I used that to help get the job here. They loved my picture. I was like, I should try this out a little more. And now I do all the club event pictures here at the Southern Hills.
Amazing.
And then I'll do a little here and there on the side. Still take pictures of cars.
I mean, it's great to like, obviously taking pictures of cars is totally different to taking pictures of people and candid at events, especially, and then golf events too. But, you know, if you take enough photos and when you do it long enough, you'll get a knack for it. And
exactly.
I think I saw a couple of photos of you. The lens you had is a pretty substantial lens, obviously, because you've got to be far away. You can't just be 10 feet off a tee box firing away the camera like a machine gun click.
Yeah,
you know? Like,
it's a good story to circle back. So the lens that I was using was 7200 2.8, which anyone listening that knows photography knows that that's like the catch-all lens. Right. That's like the go-to of every professional photographer. And I'd been pretty much begging my boss. I was like, hey, like if you want professional quality pictures, like this is the lens that we need. I'd been asking for this lens for the club for about a year because it's not cheap.
No, glass is not cheap. Lenses are not cheap.
It's the lens that makes or breaks a picture. Yeah. It's not about the camera. Right. It's all about the lens. And coincidentally, it was 2 days before Tiger showed up for his practice round, which made its way all over international television.
I heard rumors of somebody trying to jump the gate to see Tiger. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I bought the lens. Yeah. 2 days later, Tiger shows up, which I think my boss knew Tiger was coming. They obviously aren't going to tell me because I'm the communications for the club. But he let me get it, and I was the only photographer inside the gates. I mean, we had helicopter flying overhead for 6 holes. Every fence in the property had local media trying to get a picture of Tiger just playing a practice round.
Isn't that crazy?
Right.
Like, that's probably your first experience of, like, Tiger moving the needle. Is the needle.
He is the needle, right. So it was surreal. I mean, the club was still open to our members. So as soon as Tiger's plane took off from his home in Florida, I mean, the Twitter Tiger TW Legion had already put Tiger's on his way to Tulsa. One of the local sports reporters, TJ Eckert, was at the airport waiting for Tiger's plane to land. He literally got a picture of Tiger's plane touching down in Tulsa.
I think I saw that minute. Picture,
So the whole golf world knew that Tiger was here in Tulsa, which means our members also know that he's here. Yeah. So there's a lot of video that got out. I mean, the club's open to the
somebody
members.
Sent me one.
Oh, yeah.
I posted one. Yeah. I think teeing off on one.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're not going to keep our members from coming here if the club's still open to them. Right. So I walked out. I didn't want to be that guy until my boss told me I could be that guy. As soon as Nick said, like, come take some pictures of Tiger, I was out there. Yeah. So I walked down number 4 to the green to get Tiger with the clock tower. And there's about 250 people just lined up on the hill. All same thing, cell phone out, recording him, taking a horrible cell phone image or video of Tiger walking the course. Yeah. And it was like that literally the entire day.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Exactly for a practice round.
Right. But and everyone did a good job giving him space.
Sure.
They didn't follow him throughout all the holes. I mean, they stayed up by the clubhouse. Yeah. So they were respectful in that. But on number 6, it's the closest hole to the main gate, which it's also along 61st where the fence is. And that's where there's people in trees. Like, you can go and see the video of, like, multiple reporters climbing the tree right there by number 6 green just to get a picture and video of Tiger.
That's crazy. That's nuts.
Yeah.
But I think two of the cool things that happened that day was that the Oklahoma PGA Junior League team was here filming exactly the same day.
Right. Tiger's team had no idea. Yeah. And I don't think the PGA Junior League team knew either.
So obviously they got to see it.
Right. Yeah. They brought in Cameron Young to film with the PGA Junior League team. Yeah. And they all they were on 9 green they were on 18 green when Tiger was on 9 green. And taking pictures from the 10 tee box, looking down on all of them.
So cool.
I mean, Cameron Young was right there next to the PGA Junior League guys watching Tiger putt. I mean, he grew up a fan just like all of us.
Yeah.
it's cool. I mean, and then Cameron Young went on to finish top 10 in the PGA Championship.
Yeah, he played great that week.
Yeah.
The other cool thing is obviously Carrie had professional caddied for Tiger that day, right?
Yeah. Carrie caddied for Tiger.
Was that requested, or was he just like, I'm taking this one, guys?
I think it's one of those. You just take that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not every opportunity you're going to have to caddy for Tiger Woods.
That's so cool.
And to have his son Banks on the bag for Rob McNamara, Tiger's friend.
Yeah.
I mean, it was definitely a family moment that I'm glad I got to capture.
Sure, yeah.
Not just for personally to take pictures of Tiger, but for the Cosby family.
Club history and no doubt Carrie's super pumped to that.
Right.
But moving forward then, we get to, I guess, championship week. Players start showing up Sunday night or Monday morning?
So we thought that it was going to be Monday. It was going to be the busiest day, but with the tournament, I think it was the Byron Nelson, was the week before in Texas. So pretty much any player that was playing in the PGA Championship that missed the cut showed up Saturday for extra practice rounds. We had anticipated between 15 to 20 players Saturday and Sunday. I think we got up to 60 players already here by Sunday for practice rounds. So this place was in full steam ahead Sunday. I mean, the grill where the players were eating, the locker room. I mean, it was go time come Sunday because all those players came in early.
And then gates open Monday.
Gates open Monday, and it did not slow down ever since. It's still going too because getting the club open back up for our members. I mean, we have a full golf season going on.
Now it's been open this week finally.
It opened May 28th.
Okay.
So we had 5 days to get everything back together.
And
then guest play started this week, June 7th.
That's
so
awesome.
Yep.
So starting Monday then, like what is your like general role? Because obviously the PJ come in, they bring everybody in, and they generally don't need too much going on. They bring their entire army with them, don't they?
Exactly.
Even I spoke to the security guard this morning, and I said, "How was it?" And he goes, "Oh, I had a month off. They brought their own security. I was hunting somewhere." I was like, "Well, that's good for you." Which I didn't. I mean, that's one thing you wouldn't think of, right? But obviously they bring in everybody. What then is your role then Monday through Sunday? Like, obviously you took great photos, but specifically, I guess, what would have been your role that week?
So the practice rounds, my role was making sure we had everything lined up for the players, families, PGA hospitality inside the clubhouse. Southern Hills was responsible for everything that happened in the clubhouse and in our member areas. So I was in charge of making sure all of our members had their tickets and they had all their questions answered. The way I like to explain it to people before the championship, I was the liaison between the PGA and the members of Southern Hills and the members of Southern Hills and the PGA. So if one party had questions, they came to me and I communicated that to the other. So Champ Week was honestly not bad for me. It was the weeks prior, making sure all the ducks were in a row. That was really, I mean, I'm a one-man show when it comes to the marketing and communications for the club. So it was a lot.
Like actually kind of surprising, right?
Right. People were like, "Oh, you don't have a team of like 5?" It's like I could have used a few interns.
Could have used some which I'm sure it wouldn't have been hard to find interns.
Right. Yeah. Like, I had people coming out of the woodwork trying to get here.
But that's so cool.
The practice rounds, I mean, all the menus, all of anything print advertised that the players are going to need, and the PGA staff, PGA hospitality, all of that. Working with the chef, working with our GM and our clubhouse manager, making sure they had all their signs.
Did that change as well? Is there a menu change and everything?
We had 2 or 3 different menu changes. We had the champions dinner where all the past champions were invited Tuesday night.
Sadly, the host was not here.
Right. Didn't have the past champion to host, but it worked out great for our chef because he got to pick the menu and he put an Oklahoma.
Nice.
Got to give the past champions an Oklahoma menu of like, hey, this is all made right here in Oklahoma, and they loved it. I mean, you could do a podcast with him just talking about that dinner.
Awesome. Yeah. We should remake it. I'd love to try it.
We actually have
it's on the menu now.
We have a dinner tomorrow night, Friday. It's Dine Like the Champions for our members, where he's recreating the menu for all of them.
Yeah.
So,
that is really special. Like it's cool to have that like for the members. I mean, I know they've given up their golf course for quite a long period of time for all the stuff to happen and the 9 holes and everything going on, and to have that. And that history, regardless if they've been members for previous championships or new members, like that's really cool to have. So I'm sure they appreciate, you guys giving back to them. And at the end of the day, it's a country club. It's not just a place that hosts one tournament
Right.
or two or whatever it is. Like so that's super special. But tell me about kind of, I guess, obviously Saturday, Sunday people start showing up. Monday everything opens up, and then you've got time then to use the camera and jump out and take photos.
Exactly.
There's got to be something. I mean, we could sit here for 2 hours talking about just one day, but there has to be some obviously standout moments and just people you meet and casually walking around or inside the ropes. Because when 45,000 people show up and you're inside the ropes,
people are looking at you.
Oh yeah.
I mean, kids are trying to high five me, sticking a flag in my face, trying to get me to sign it. Like, you don't want
this signature.
Right. I think it was Monday or Tuesday when Tiger showed up and played the back nine for his practice round. I was standing there taking pictures, and the Barstool golf guys are just casually walking along. I was like, oh, I see these guys all the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I met Frankie and Trent and Riggs, and just talking to them on the golf course. They're just as nervous as everyone else walking up to Tiger. So
on Twitter, they seem to have a pretty good, like, Tiger was like, what's up?
What's up, my brother?
Yeah. What? How does that happen?
Yeah, put that on a plaque and keep that the rest of your life.
Turn that into an NFT or a clip, whatever.
Yeah.
You play everybody that walks into your house.
Exactly.
So cool.
But, I mean, it was that for 7 days straight.
Yeah.
I mean, I was essentially the media for the club the week of the championship, so practice rounds and
so you could go pretty much anywhere you wanted.
I went anywhere. Yeah. I had 3 different badges. The PGA calls it alphabet soup. It's for the people that don't get the coveted AA badge.
Okay.
But I needed access to everywhere, just inside the clubhouse at least. So I got to walk in the men's grill where the players were eating, just meeting the guys. I mean, all of them super down to earth, not what you think they are on social media and on TV. But yeah, the media center was our indoor tennis courts. So we have 4 indoor tennis courts, and they transformed it into this just huge compound for the media. I mean, over 150 desks, 35 or 40 foot video wall where they could watch the tournament from 3 different angles. Full kitchen. I mean, they had a full bar in there for them each night, ice cream, stocked fridges and freezers. I mean, they took great care of the media. Yeah. And I mean, and then I got to go in there too. I mean, I would eat with the other staff here at the club, but if I needed a quiet place to go and edit photos or make an Instagram reel, I had a desk in there that I could go use too. So
that's kind of special to have, like, your name tag and a desk and like
right next to ESPN and Sports Illustrated, Golf Digest. I mean, they were all right in there. So.
Yeah. Is there anyone who, like, you saw that's like kind of size surprised you? Because for example, when we stood on the second tee box and watched Tiger come through, and I was surprised how tall Jordan Spieth is. He doesn't look very big on TV. And I was also surprised how small Victor Hovland is. However, he is very wide back. Like, he hits it a long way because he's stacked.
Right.
But he's not very tall. So is there anyone like that stands out that you're like, like it just surprised you? I don't know. Because when you see people on TV and in the NBA, or whatever it is, like they don't look as big as they actually are, or the opposite. So any kind of interesting stuff that pops up.
That was the weirdest thing for me. I mean, I'm 6 foot.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all about my height. I mean, obviously a little skinnier, a little more fit, but they're not superstars. It's not like you're going to an NBA game or a football game.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're not Greek gods.
They're not Greek gods like all those guys. They're just normal dudes. I mean, half of them look like they've never lifted a weight in their life. So I wasn't too shocked by that. I followed the PGA Tour pretty closely, so I hear them talk about how short Rory is and how big this guy is.
It's surprising how far and how hard Rory hits it for his size.
Yeah.
Right. Like the one thing when we stood on two tee boxes for a reason, because I wanted to see everyone hit driver. And you're watching Rory hit driver, and you're like, okay, I get it now.
Right.
Like,
it doesn't make sense.
No,
I mean, if you know the game of golf and like,
it
just
doesn't add up.
how to generate and put all that much energy into the golf ball at the size that these guys are, it's unreal.
So you follow Tiger's group every day?
I followed Tiger's group, the 3 of the 4 days that he was here, just watching the crowds go through. I was taking more pictures of the people watching Tiger than I had inside the ropes, but I knew the spots that I needed to get pictures from just based on background and location on the course. So I would go outside the ropes to go to the next location. I had to walk sometimes the entire length of a fairway, 2 or 3 holes in front of Tiger, just to get inside the rope. Yeah. Because it was at least 5 to 7 people deep.
Isn't that crazy?
2 holes in advance of waiting for Tiger.
We stood on the right of 2 tee box for an hour and 30 minutes to watch him come through. And we were like still 3 rows from the front. Well, yeah, I'm tall as well, like you, so I can actually, that helped. But yeah, people go their lives not wanting to see Tiger hit a golf shot, right? And then somehow he sprays one into the woods and it's right in front of you.
Exactly. And I was right there. So it was me and the Michelob guy standing right there. They somehow became famous
for a contract now, right?
Got a contract.
TJ's in that photo. Do you notice that?
And TJ is one of the only other people not with a phone in front of his face.
He's like, I don't know. He's probably pretty pissed off that he didn't get that Michelob Ultra, I guess, deal.
That's right. He should have been holding the $18 beer in his hand.
Oh, so good. I saw the Michelob Ultra. I was like at the recent tournament, dressed exactly the same way. And now that's his brand.
Yeah.
What a hero. You gotta love social media for that.
So that guy, that shot was on number 1. Yeah. It was in the right rough. Actually hit a fan. So Tiger walks up, gives the guy a signed glove, which is traditional in golf. Sure. And TJ and I stopped and talked to the guy who got hit. It was like, hey, can we get a picture? And he's like, I'm about to pass out. But yes, he has this huge knot. I mean, it was already the size of like a softball.
On the end of his elbow.
On his end of his elbow. Just like straight bone. Yeah. But he was smiling with his signed Tiger glove. I don't think there's a single person or a single golf fan who grew up watching Tiger that wouldn't take a golf ball to the elbow by Tiger for a signed glove. Right. Like we all would have been in his shoes.
People. You're right. Yeah. And I mean, to that point, like talking of like just the people and the fans, like the fans were great the whole time. The time I was here, and I did see someone getting wheeled out on a stretcher because it was too hot, and there was a kind of older lady. But obviously, like, we know everyone made way and they're coming through ambulance chair, whatever he's called it, and she was on oxygen. But, I mean, you kind of expect that when you're 95 degrees out here and it's walking around and there's not much, else to do other than sit in the sun. Right. Like
if you just have a grounds ticket, you don't have a covered place to go and get out of the heat. And you're just here to watch golf.
But for the most part, it seemed like a really cool experience. Players seemed to obviously have a great time. I mean, I didn't hear of anything bad.
It was pretty much unanimous across the board that it was phenomenal, from the hospitality to the course to the city of Tulsa. I mean, it could not have gone better. Right. And then the day after, we had 3 inches of rain.
It absolutely emptied down, didn't it?
Not a single rain delay during the championship, and then it all poured down the Monday after.
And it was such a good week for weather too. For an Oklahoman, it was not for a player because it changed so much. But to see, like, the last thing you want as a golf club is to have people come here and destroy the golf course and shoot 25 under par. Right. Because it makes a mockery of your golf course.
Exactly.
And then the team and everything else. But they came here, they got different weather every day. It was cold Saturday. Sunday was great, obviously, and the wind switches. But it was a really cool test to see players like do that. What I want to know, though, is what was it like for you walking down that playoff to finish?
Oh, my gosh.
Because you must have followed Mito all the way in, right?
Because the hosting club, we want as many pictures of whoever's going to win as possible. Mito had a 2-stroke lead going into Sunday, so my job was to get as many pictures of Mito as possible. Thankfully, I had a couple friends that I got media passes for, so they could take pictures as well. And I placed them on different parts of the golf course. Like, hey, just in case, like, I need last picture of hitting the approach shot into 18 of the last 6 groups, and just in case the winner's in one of those, which turned out it was. Right. But thankfully we had a playoff. But yeah, I followed Mito all 18 holes and then watched him fall apart.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was. I feel horrible for the guy, but he could not have handled it better. Listening to his press conference,
taking a press conference,
right? These players don't have to do press conferences. It's by will, and he went straight to the media center and held his head high and talked about it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, followed him.
Playoff,
I knew that if there was a playoff, it was going to be a 3-hole aggregate.
Which I love. That it was so good. Yeah, and the 3 holes you guys picked too, or the PGA picked, was like the perfect 3.
Exactly. You get the par, the par 4, 13.
Yeah.
Or no, it was par 5.
Yeah. 13, yeah.
And then short par 4, 17, and then the iconic finish on 18. And that's what they really wanted. They wanted to make sure the winner finished on 18.
Yeah.
So if they would have been tied on that 3-hole aggregate, they would have kept playing 18 until there's a winner.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I knew as soon as Mito hit his ball in the water on 18 that there was going to be a playoff. We didn't know if he was going to be in it or not.
Right.
But I knew he was going to at least finish with a bogey.
Yeah.
And we'd be tied at 5 under. So I went immediately to 13 tee. I claimed my spot. I knew the angle that I wanted of the guys getting there. And I followed JT and Will Zalatoris all 3 holes.
Yeah. Did you get a shot of JT's dad? What was that? Did you get a shot of his dad?
Hugging on 18 or on 17?
I'm just walking around, I think. Maybe.
Oh, yeah. So he came out. I think they drove him out to 13 green. And then he walked and got to 17 green and then walked up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So much fun. Finishing up, because I know we're tight on time. Just, I mean, from a marketing perspective, not just on the clubs, for the club, but like for you as a marketing professional now, like having a job in marketing and hosting a PGA Championship that millions around the world has watched. I mean, that must be really cool.
It's surreal.
Like
it still feels fake.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't gotten a chance to edit all. I took over 16,000 pictures over the week of the championship. I did my best to create a little Instagram reel and post as much as possible.
Great.
But yeah, I mean, I still haven't had a chance to process all of it because we still have business as usual here as the club. Yeah. So it still sometimes feels fake. Like, did that really happen? Like, did we really have 45,000 people here at the club and the 96 of the top 100 golfers? But it was awesome. It was an experience that I can't wait to do again whenever the next major championship rolls through Tulsa. Yeah. And what it means for the city too, and
the
state.
You grew up here, like,
right?
That's part of the story, isn't it? Is the fact that like you are from here. Like it would be different if you were from somewhere. It's a different city, but you're part of the city's history as well,
right?
And to be that involved in the PGA Championship, coming here, that's special.
I think that's what makes Southern Hills special. Yeah. I mean, our staff, we have a long tenure. People don't leave when they're here. I mean, they take such good care of the staff, but just being a part of the legacy and the tradition that Southern Hills is, like, part of our slogan is the commitment to excellence and knowing like what that means for almost over 87 years now in Tulsa. Like, it's awesome. It's excellence, and we try to do everything that way. Yeah. And to be born and raised here in Tulsa and be a part of that's pretty special.
Yeah, and the fact that like so many people who weren't golfers came to the event too, right? It's just such a broad impact on the city and the amount of money that was spent here, and just I don't know, it's just amazing, and can't wait to see the next one here. But mate, I really appreciate you taking some time to share some stories for, what are we going on? Almost 45 minutes now, so it does go by fast. But there's some great stories in there, a lot of insight that people wouldn't even think about, like 60,000 zip ties, and 20 miles of fencing tape or whatever it is. Like, that's astronomical numbers. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. For people listening, what is your Instagram so they can see some of the reels that you posted? Because they're pretty awesome.
So I've posted a lot on my personal Instagram. It's at Reagan Kingsley. You can give me a follow there. It's a public account. Yeah. Give me a like if you're there. Hopefully over the next couple weeks, couple months, I'll do some recaps on the guys who visited before. Post some of those pictures and some of the conversations I was able to have with those players. Yeah. So, and
then if you repost his work, make sure you credit him, like some of people who didn't, which we have a little funny inside joke about that. So that's awesome. Well, but for people listening, go on.
I was just going to say thank you so much for having me.
Oh, of course. No brainer, mate. I mean, just to tell the story of inside the ropes and the stuff, the experiences that you've had, it's awesome, and people need to hear it. So maybe I'll get the chance to sit down with Carrie and ask him about caddying for Tiger one day.
Right.
I have to ask him that one. And the next thing would be obviously playing out here one day with you, which would be amazing too.
Hey, I hope I get to play out here one
day. But for people listening, I'll post Reagan's Instagram in the description, and we will catch you next episode. Cheers.
This podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, telling Oklahoma stories through its people since 1927. Follow them online at oklahomahof.com and definitely on Instagram at oklahomahof.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.